So the principles are understanding. We always try to work to understand. And this comes from the active listening skills, but it's more than that because negotiation has evolved. 30 years ago, when the behavioral change stairway model came out, active listening is a foundational piece. But we need more than that now because we're having conversations by FaceTime, by Skype, by Zoom. This whole next generation is completely comfortable being on camera. This is how they're being raised. Well, maybe the rest of us who are a little bit older, this is still a bit new to us.
What did you see as an essential steps of crisis negotiations?
Yeah, and this comes together from not only the educational pieces, but having done this type of work. And for me, I work off of 4 principles of understanding, timing, delivery, and respect. And not only knowing what these principles are, but how we visualize them. And for me, I visualize them in a circle. And the reason this circle is important, I say this, I want you to see this, and the circle represents the bond that we have, that we are trying to create with the people that we're talking to. Our goal is not to get someone to free the hostage or drop the gun or put the knife down. Our goal is to form a bond. And once we have that bond and a connection, then we have the influence, then we can get where we need to go. So the principles are understanding. We always try to work to understand. And this comes from the active listening skills, but it's more than that because negotiation has evolved. 30 years ago, when the behavioral change stairway model came out, active listening is a foundational piece. But we need more than that now because we're having conversations by FaceTime, by Skype, by Zoom. This whole next generation is completely comfortable being on camera. This is how they're being raised. Well, maybe the rest of us who are a little bit older, this is still a bit new to us. So not only do we have to listen, but are we paying attention to gestures, facial expressions, body language? Everything we see here is providing us with information. Second principle is timing, knowing when to deliver your message. I think that not only can you not get what you want, but you can hurt your position if your timing's off. I remember negotiating with a guy who was in his house and he started popping off rounds and the SWAT team's calling out, hey, we got shots fired. And he's really, really angry. And I think, is this the time to tell him, hey, put the gun down. You just need to come out? Of course not, because we need to attend to his emotion and what's going on with him here first. What's important right now? And then the delivery, I don't want to minimize the words and the content of what's being said. But if you're preparing for your negotiation, you're already putting together your content. Watching people under stress, they don't have any awareness of their delivery. And I'm talking the rate, the rhythm, the pressure, the volume, the tone. These are things that we can adjust in our delivery to let people experience us differently. And then respect. I think this is a piece that most people who are successful and professional get. Yes, please. No, thank you. Yes, sir. No, ma'am. But respect is more than just being polite. It is about emotion and understanding that we make decisions based on emotion, not just logic and reasoning. And if we can understand behavioral economics, cognitive biases, and all these things that influence how we make these decisions, then we are going to get better at respecting this person, having them feel respected, and giving them a bit of autonomy to let them choose the outcome while we're kind of working in the background as a trusted coach. But the reason that you have to see this circle, I do scenario-based training with police officers. I work with them. One of the scenarios we run is a bad day. The bad day scenario where they're looking for a guy who is suicidal and I'm the role player. And I come out at them and I got a knife to my neck. They come at me. And of course, we're going to get the tactics first to make sure that tactically they're correct. But the focus of this isn't tactics. It's about having a crisis negotiation. And they default to this behavioral change step of put the knife down, put the knife down. I order you to put the knife down. And it never works, right? So how about we take a time out and say, think about your mindset. Instead of getting this person to drop the knife, make your goal to be to form a bond and form a connection. And once you form a bond, then you got influence. So then they start asking, well, how do I form that bond? And we teach them these principles of understanding, timing, deliver, and respect. And it becomes a little bit easier for them. And they realize I can find success if I've got this structure, this mental model that I can use during these difficult conversations.
So thanks for sharing that, Scott. There's a ton of value there. Really appreciate it. So do these steps have application in the corporate world or public sector or even people's individual lives?
Of course, because we're always trying to get what we want. As leaders, we have a team. We have to drive ourselves, our team, our business to success. And how can we do that if we're just guessing and doing what we think is right? I trust that there's a lot of people who are doing what they feel is good. but sometimes they're not effective as leaders. So why not give them the tools of influence to help them get to where they want to go so they can be successful? It's tough to get this criticism. It's tough to get feedback sometimes, but ultimately, what is your goal? And that's what I say in negotiations. What is your goal? If it's about being right, if it's about your ego, you shouldn't be engaging in negotiations, right? Because it's not about you. It's about the people that we're working with. So think about that. It's not about you. It's about the people you serve.
We know you get this question a million times. I know that because I was watching your TEDx talk, which is fantastic. People need to go see that. Watch some of your other interviews too, Scott. But I wanted to ask you, because I think you have a great response. I wanted to have it on here. But what is it that you magically say that gets people to come out?
Well, there's no magic phrase, right? Everybody wants to know, hey, what's this one thing you say? I can share with you one story. When I get into negotiations, there's kind of a script we follow to get started. Hi, my name is Scott. It's a personal introduction. I'm with the police department, so identifying you're not from the radio show or whatever. Hi, my name's Scott. I'm with the police department. I'd like to help. Some trainers say, well, don't say help because it feels like there's a power differential. Hi, my name's Scott. I'm with the police department. I'd like to help. Is everybody okay in there? And now we're starting to create the question and then a statement of purpose very early. I'd like for you to come out and speak with me so we can get this resolved. And that's kind of my opening script. And then after that, I go to take my boots off. And the reason is because you want to get comfortable. The FBI says that these things statistically last 2 to 4 hours. So this isn't going to be a quick conversation, and it shouldn't. There's an important process that needs to occur. But in one of these negotiations, after I say, I'd like for you to come out and speak with me so we can get this resolved, the guy goes, okay. I was like, what do you mean, okay? And he goes, yeah, I'll come out. And so I let the arrest team know, hey, this guy's coming out. And sure enough, he did. And I remember driving home that night or that day, and it was Christmas Eve. It was cold and snowy. And I just kind of remember feeling, I got the outcome that I wanted, which is a safe and peaceful surrender. But the process wasn't there. And this is what's called the IKEA effect and cognitive bias, that I didn't work very hard. So the outcome has no value. And the IKEA effect says you get this furniture that's got a guy with the Allen wrench, and there's not even directions in any language. And you work really hard to put this shelf together for $29. You built this bookcase, and it's not quite straight, not very good. But you're so proud, you tell everybody, hey, come look at my bookcase. And it's the IKEA effect. Anybody could have gotten on the phone with this guy and said, hey, I want you to come out so we can get this resolved. And he would have. He was just waiting for that invitation, I guess, or he didn't want to have a standoff. So sometimes you just need to ask. And one of the things that we train in our negotiation class is don't worry about no. Let's stop being afraid of the word no. And in police and crisis negotiation, that's just where we begin. Like, I just expect we begin with no. And so many people are afraid just to hear the word no that they won't even ask. And that's where I again say you're not negotiating for you. It's not being selfish. It's about your team, your business, the people you serve, and you can get more.
Yeah, and that's that shift in mindset that I think you were talking about before, whether it's what your mindset around your goal, your mindset, as you're just saying right now, around how I respond to a no, and even your mindset around process, which you were talking about so much earlier in terms of timing and delivery and being very intentional with kind of how you negotiate.
Yeah, the process is critical. That so many people are happy just that they had someone who listened to them. As a supervisor in my police department for many years, people will be surprised to know that sometimes people call in and want to talk to a supervisor because they're dissatisfied with the service that they received. No problem. But I've learned that by thoughtfully listening to them and letting them talk and letting them share everything they need to share, and then asking the question, and what else? And what else? We get everything out. Sometimes that's, I would say more than half the time, just being listened to goes a long way. You know what? I might not be able to get you what you need, but I want to listen to you. I want to hear what you have to say, because if we can do things better, I need to know that. And sometimes they don't believe that at first, but when you spend time truly listening to them, they've almost exhausted themselves, and it's tough for them to have a lot of emotion left to come and attack you when you're such a good listener. So it takes time. It's difficult to do because you need to be patient. And I realize I'm not very good at being patient sometimes.
So Scott, you've talked about the importance of seeking to understand others and showing other people respect. Is it actually possible to teach or train people to do these things?
Yeah, and I heard you ask Kirk Cannell a similar question on an earlier episode about, can you teach these things? Of course you can teach them to the level that they are received. Now this is going to be a little bit different. So, I mean, some of it falls on having good instruction, and some of it falls on the student to say, how good do I want to be? Because we can learn all of these things. And sometimes we just dismiss it and say, hey, I'm not very good at it, so I'm not going to do it. And sometimes we don't get the results we're looking for. You go to the gym one time, hey, I'm not seeing any muscles. What's going on? I'm done with that. You really need to commit yourself. And naturally, some people are better at this than others. But for me, this is a skill that I've had to work hard on developing. So I know that it can be done. And it's just a matter of, are you going to take the time and effort to commit to being good at it? And having seen the results, and for me, this is life or death. I mean, people are truly alive today based on conversations that my negotiation team has had with them. So I know that this is powerful tools and tactics to get what you want. So why wouldn't you put in your very best effort to be great at this? And people get confused. They say, I'm already a good communicator. I'm doing it all the time. Just because we're doing it doesn't mean that we're great at it.
Hey, thanks for listening to today's episode. If you could please rate, review, and subscribe to our podcast, we'd greatly appreciate it. And we'll see you in the next episode.